from Minerva, and today I've got a really fun pattern for us to make. It's the Vogue 8952. We're going to do view B, and let me tell you, this pattern is super duper easy to make. It's a really quick make. If you have a serger, you can make this entire thing on your serger. It's super fun. The fabric we're using is really luxe, feels really expensive, very plush, really nice fabric. This pattern is very easy. So if you're brand new to sewing, this is going to be super easy for you to sew up. And I think you're going to really like it. I think this will be a pattern that you wear over and over again, you make over and over again. This is going to be a good one, guys. This is going to be a good one. If you do not own a serger, because the fabric we're using is a knit, don't worry about it. I'm actually going to sew the entire thing on my sewing machine. I'm not going to use my serger at all. Sew the entire thing on the sewing machine to show you just how quick and easy it is to make, to whip up. But if you have a serger, you can make it even faster on your serger. All right, are you ready? Let's jump right in. So in order to make this pattern, we obviously need the pattern. And then we're going to need some black thread. And then we're going to be using this really nice knit here. A really stable knit that is really soft. I mean, this little picture here just doesn't do justice. This is a really nice, thick, stable knit here, really soft, and will make a perfect shirt. This is going to sew up really beautifully, really easy, and it's great for beginners or advanced sewers alike. So that's all we need. Real simple. Some thread, our pattern, our fabric. Let's get started. So this pattern has 4 very easy pattern pieces, number 5, number 6, number 7, and number 8. You want to go ahead and cut your pattern out. Get your pattern pieces all cut out to your size. Make sure you transfer all of your markings and snip all of your notches. Once you've done that, we're ready to start construction. Okay, we're going to take the back pattern piece, which is number 5, and we're going to lay it right sides together. I want you to make sure you notice your notches right here. Make sure those notches are clipped and matching up like this. We're going to sew all the way down this center back seam. Make sure your machine is on a zigzag stitch if you're using a regular sewing machine. Back stitching at the beginning and at the very end. Line that edge of our fabric up with our 5/8 of an inch marking for our seam allowance up here. We're going to back stitch at the very beginning and the very end. Now let's take our back piece that we just sewed together. We're going to open it up, and we are going to put our top piece, pattern number 6, right on top of it, right sides together. And we are going to stitch up the shoulder and the side seams. So let's go ahead and pin this in place, and then we'll get ready to stitch it. All right, we're ready to start sewing now. So we've got our shoulder seams lined up and pinned. Here is the back of our shirt. Here's the front of our shirt, patterns 5 and 6. They're laying right sides together. And we've got the side seam pinned as well. We're going to go ahead and stitch our shoulders from the outside in, and then we're going to stitch down both sides. Now we have sewn all of our seams. We've got our shoulder seams done. We've got our side seams done. What we want to do now is to take this over to the iron and press all of our seams open nice and flat. Because this is a knit, we don't necessarily have to finish our seams because this fabric here isn't going to fray. So we can just press this open flat. If you are creating this on the serger, then you can go ahead and serge your seams if you choose to do so. If you're on a regular machine and you don't have a serger, you can just press your seams open flat. They're going to lay nice and flat without fraying. So let's take this over to the iron, cut all of our loose threads off, and press these seams open nice and flat. So our shirt is all sewn. Here's our back seam pressed open nice and flat. Here's the side seams that have been pressed open. And then we've got our shoulder seams done. We can push this to the side and we're going to pick up pattern piece number 7, which is the collar. And we are going to turn this right sides together, lining up our notches here. We're going to do a flat felled seam on this. So let me show you how to do it. Let's go ahead and get this all pinned up and then sewn right down this side. Now that you've sewn this seam right sides together, what you're going to do is just go ahead and cut down that left seam like I've done here. You're going to cut it down to about 1/4 inch or so, and then we are going to press this edge here over 1/4 inch and then over again, and we will sew close to that stitching line. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sew our flat fell seam here. We're going to sew right close to that edge, making sure we pull the pins out as we get to them, back stitching at the beginning and the end. So here's the right side of our cowl with our flat felled seam, nice and flat, and we're going to just go ahead and attach this to our top. Cut off all of our loose threads and attach it to our top. So now to attach our cowl, we're going to turn our shirt wrong side out with the back facing our table, or facing down. So this is the back, this is the front. We're going to turn the cowl right side out because we're going to place these two pieces right sides together. So here's our seam in the back. We're going to have that towards the back, and then we've got our triangles or our markings on the side here. So here's our markings, one there, our little triangles. We're going to put those, match those up to our shoulder seam. Okay, so here's our back seam, our triangles. We're going to slip this right inside our shirt so that they are right sides touching, and we are going to line up our little triangles, pin them in place on both sides, and then line up the back as well. Now our cowl is pinned all the way around our top. We're going to go ahead and sew all the way around, and after we have sewn, we're going to press the seam allowance down towards the top. The seam allowance that we have from the cowl will be pressed down towards the top so that we can top stitch on the outside. Here's our cowl attached. You want to press this seam allowance down towards the top. Then we're going to flip the entire shirt right side out, and we are going to top stitch right along this edge here. So here's the back seam. We're going to top stitch right along this edge here, catching the seam allowance that we have pressed down. So basically we're understitching. We're going to just attach it or top stitch right here along this edge. After that has been completed, we're going to turn our cowl in on itself. So here's the front of the cowl, inside, back. We're going to just turn this entire cowl in on itself like this. Turn it down inside. And we are simply going to tack it. Just do a little tack right here after we've top stitched. Just do a little tack right here. You can even do one on the very front if you want, which is just going to help the cowl to hold its shape without flipping towards the outside as we wear it. Okay, so let's go ahead, get that done, and all we have to do is attach our sleeve and we'll be done. So for the top stitching, I've switched over to my edge stitching foot just so I can get a nice crisp top stitching line along the top. So here's my cowl turned towards the inside. There is my seam allowance there, and I'm just going to do a small little tack right here just to keep it in place. And that's it. All right, we've got our cowl attached. You see that it's turned towards the inside with a little tack right here. I went ahead and tacked the front as well. I did a small little tack right there just to help it keep the shape nicely. We've got our top stitching done right here along the edge, nice and pretty there. And so all we have to do now is attach our sleeves and hem. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and pull out pattern piece number 8. Okay, and we are going to do some basting stitches. Let's grab that piece. All right, we're going to take pattern piece number 8, and what we're going to do is simply create some basting stitches along this sleeve cap here so that we can ease the sleeve into the arm side on the pattern. So we're going to put our machine on the largest stitch length possible, and we are going to do a row of basting stitches from right here between our notches. Just going to put a row of basting stitches here, and we'll stop right here in front of our the notch on the other side. You can put 2 rows of basting stitches there. Make sure you have long thread tails. Okay, do that to both pieces. All right, you see I've got long thread tails here, and I'm going to go ahead and just do a row of basting stitches about 1/4 inch from the edge all the way around, starting at one side of the notches all the way around to the other side of the sleeve where the opposite notch is. Remember, we are not back stitching, and our basting stitch is putting the machine on the longest stitch length. All right, so after we have made our row of basting stitches, we are going to turn our sleeve right sides together right here at this point, and down here all the way down the side of the sleeve, and we are going to pin it in place like this. okay? And simply sew right down this side here. Now what I did was I just did a basic 5/8 of an inch hem. So after you have sewn this sleeve, you're going to turn your hem up towards the wrong side, press that seam allowance open, okay, and then turn your hem up towards the wrong side, however far you want it, whatever your preference is, 5/8 of an inch, half an inch, 1 inch, whatever you want, turn it up. What I like to do, especially working with a simple knit fabric like this, is I turn it up the way I want it, and then I just stitch right close to this edge, and I'm done, okay? And then I can insert my sleeve. When you do that, your sleeve will look like this, okay? This is what you want. So here is the front of our, here's the front of our shirt, got our little cowl there, and here is one sleeve inserted. So see that? We want a nice, good, smooth, flat sleeve head, and then here's my little hem. Again, just turned under and stitched right there. There's our little side seam. Boom. Done. That's it. Okay? I'm going to show you how to insert the other sleeve. And after that sleeve is inserted, the only thing left to do is to hem the bottom. Again, I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom that I'm going to do on this sleeve. Just turn it under, whatever your preference is, 5/8, half an inch, 1 inch, whatever. I just like to turn it under, and I'm going to stitch right close to that edge. That is it, and it is done. Okay, so I've got my hem already prepped and ready to be stitched. Okay, and I'm going to show you real quick how to insert our sleeve on this side, and we're done. All right, to insert your sleeve, you want to turn the shirt wrong side out. Take your sleeve, turn your sleeve right side out so that the right sides are touching. So here's our sleeve, here's bottom, here's our sleeve head. We're going to place this right inside. Right sides are touching, and we're going to make sure that the side of our sleeve is matching up with the side of the top, and we're going to pin in place. So just like that. Now we're going to come on one side. Here is the shoulder of the shirt. That will match up with the little red dot on our sleeve. We'll match that up, put a pin, just like that, nice and flat. And then we will match up our notches. So here, we've got our little double notch there from the sleeve, and the double notch from the shirt. We'll match that up. Nice and smooth. Put a pin. I'm going to go ahead and pin this section down here just so that it stays nice and flat. And then on the other side, I'm going to match the single notch, which is right here on the sleeve and right here on the shirt. And again, I will throw a little pin right here just to keep this portion nice and flat. Now you will notice that your sleeve is a lot bigger than the top. That's the purpose of those that basting stitch, so that you can ease that sleeve in. So all you're going to do is just take the basting stitch and gently pull, which is going to cause the sleeve to slightly gather. And you're just going to pull until the sleeve actually fits the sleeve opening. This is how I like to do it. I know some people like to sew it and stitch it in. I like to just pull the basting stitches until I get that sleeve nice and smooth, fit it in there, and then I'll just pin it just like this all the way around. Get the raw edges nice and lined up, and pin it nice and flat. So I've got one side done, nice flat pinned. I'm going to do the same thing over here to the other side where that sleeve is larger than the opening. Pull that basting stitch, get gathers kind of pulled out until that sleeve fits the opening, and then just use my fingers, smooth it out, pin in place. And all we have to do now is stitch it. Okay, there we go. Now we'll just take this to the machine and we're just going to stitch all the way around using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. There you have it. Super quick, super easy. We've got our cowl attached here. We've got our sleeves attached. Hem. This is a really cute top, really easy to make. Give it a good press. Here's our hem at the bottom, all done. Give it a nice good press and it is ready to wear. This is a really, really easy top to make. And this fabric is just really luxe. It's a really nice, really stable, real soft, real supple knit. Really nice fabric to make this top out of. Super fun, super luxe. Hope you enjoy it. Super quick, easy make. This is definitely going to be a staple for your closet.